We are live. How are you guys? I was just watching the what man just this. I think I'm going to make this a mess. I hope all going to stick. Okay. Uh, the music and everything is not mine. Okay, so let me turn this off. Uh, because otherwise, the YouTube guys will come after me. Let's see if I'm still live. I don't see me live. Okay. Other than, there is something live. Yeah, I'm live. I'm live and alive. Okay. Not a lot to actually, really talk about. You can see things behind me. As you may see, you can. Let me adjust this. This is where I have, most people read my palm. I used to read palms. That's one of the abilities I have. I can read in this thing. I can do palmistry. I can look at the lines and say, what is going on with people. I used to do that, and oh man, this is indeed an incredible mess. Okay, because I kind of was trying to rearrange it. You can see the vacuum cleaner sitting there. That stick that is up. That is a vacuum cleaner, and. I am not sure what is going on with the alignment. Everything I changed. Um, it's a quick, maybe, there is not a lot like yesterday. Yesterday, the talk went on for nearly 45 minutes. I didn't even notice that, it went on for 45 minutes. I am here in my store on a Sunday. It's raining. Right now, I believe the rain kind of stopped. When I was coming, it was pretty rainy and grainy, and now I'm here. See, you can see the all of me. You see, when I get up, you can see this is me. Some people, actually, one of my friend who watched the video yesterday told, okay, you are not standing up. Okay, I'm standing up. So even when I'm standing up or sitting down, when I'm sitting down, I look like a big guy. That's what they say. And I'm not a big guy. I'm only 5'6". I'm short and bulky around the waist. Most of my, excess fat around my shoulder, my legs. My legs became thinner, chicken legs, vast chicken legs, turkey leg into chicken leg to, almost stick. uh, said all that, that is a record player. I play, music from vinyl records. I have a good collection of it. Um, what else? I'm kind of speaking. My history, recent history. That's what I was doing. I was talking to some people. I had a customer who came in. Big Germany supporter. Germany almost lost the World Cup soccer game. Almost. They didn't lose it. They came to a draw. So if they lost today's game, they would have been out. Just watching those things, and I am like I said yesterday, working on that poem. And that's one of the things I'm doing. Then another thing I'm working on is Mahidevran. Mahidevran, is a character from the Ottoman times. It's not a, I cannot say a character. It's a person who lived. So I'm working on that too, and that's where occupies my mind and activities. Working on this particular poem. I went in 2 or 3 different directions, but I had abandoned those things. That happens, especially when you're writing about a real life character for fictitiously. So it is not taking something from the real. because I don't know. I don't have a lot of information to actually go into. And most of the information that I can go into are later part of her life. So if I'm actually going to talk about her, a specific person's life, then that need to actually fit in different parts of that person's life. So the initial part is absolutely absent. Only bits and pieces are there, which contradicts a lot. So instead of contradicting, I'm trying to find a logical reasoning to bring this character, and give this character, an assumption. Okay, this may have happened, and that may have part is where I'm adding some fictitious things, since things, commonly, done by people, commonly spoken by people, things like that, taking those things into consideration and then go into deep into it, so that's what happens. I assumed that it will be a year for me to write the whole thing, and it's more than that. I mean, it may take much more time than I thought. A small example I can give is when I started working on a similar thing. I actually took a novel, Deaths of the D'Urbervilles. I have spoken about it, written about this for in many my blog posts as well as videos. When I did that, that was, I started working on it sometime in 2005. I finished it in 2007. So imagine, I have all the material in front of me, but still going into the character of Tess of the D'Urbervilles, then, trying to, find loose ends, or trying to find gaps and try to fill those gaps in, taking the whole material written by Thomas Hardy. It is not easy. I mean, everybody knows this character. Everybody knows the story. Everybody who is interested to know in the story, they also, when they read the book, and then they come to my poems, and they were like, "What is it you are talking about as these fillers?" Because there's a lot of things in people's mind, especially when you read a novel. When you read a novel, you can assume there are a lot of things, the writer explains. So, one of the things I can say is Tess going into this place called Talbot Hayes. We can go into that, really literally we are inside that farm, and inside, the fields, where she is working. However, there are gaps, so there is one event that he says, and then there is the next event he says is there is a significant amount of, time, if you look at it. So, for example, today something happened. The next major event happening probably is after 3 weeks, or, one of the things which I talked about in those poems is that, because what happened in these 3 weeks, he's not backtracking. He just left those 3 weeks. In the same way, he's saying, okay, towards the end of that, that's where I brought in a major, in which, most people actually say a major change, which is, Tess of the D'Urbervilles comes, and she's dying. I mean, of course everybody knows the story. She dies in the end. I mean, she's punished, and she's hanged. So the two people she lives, two people connected to her, who for whom she, literally sacrifices her life. One is her sister, Liza Lou, and another is this her husband, boyfriend, abandoned, who abandoned her. But literally, she sacrifices her life for these two. But then there is this situation that actually pops up, and where, these two, are joining hands and walking away, and there is a gap there. I was like, the first thought when I first read this book, I was like 18 or 19 years old at that time. I read the book, and I was talking to one of my actually a person who's studying in the university. He was pretty much around my age, same like even I was in college. When I was talking to him, he was a literature student, and I asked him, so, here, two people who are devastated by, her loss, literally on their knees, because of, they understand her better than anybody else, even better than us, who are reading it. I said, take that context and put it into the reality of things. If this happens to you or me, or how can we find any strength in the nearest possible time to even stand up? Because going down into down on their knees is literally a surrender before fate, and then they are finding strength. What can actually bring the strength? And this is a question that hobbled around my mind for a while. I was like, what is it? Then left, then came back, then left, came back. It's like, what possibilities are there for them? Even if I'm talking fictitiously, that's what I brought in. Say then I learned logical reasoning at that time. After that. I read a considerable amount of literature around the logical reasoning, talked to many people, not because of this, and I was just, finding a logical reason for, many things. It came down to a point, where I took this character and started writing. Even at that time, I don't have any idea about what are the possibilities. I'm not going to name her. I only speak about a nickname of her. A couple of times in my blogs, I actually told her name. I used a model to write that, and mistakes happened. So and a terrible mistake happened. I mean, I took a very young model and kind of started soft feelings for her. Never met her in real. That was the luckiest part for indeed for both of us. She probably in her 30s right now. I don't know where she is. And when I dealt with that situation, towards the end of it, I know this is where that is one of the reasons the delays happened. So I stopped writing. I was writing other poems and other things, excess writings. Then eventually when I came back to it, saying there is only one person for whom we can find strength. Say, if I love a girl, and that girl is leaving, or that girl passes away, or she marries somebody and she's gone from life, what are we going to actually find strength in? That is the only person you can actually find some strength in. So this is, at that time, there was this romantic situations, that happened, and I was saying, even if we are actually leaving a person, that person is your strength, and you should know that. I mean, there are people who divorces and who, without that person, they cannot find the strength to move on, because it is like sitting on a tree. And when you are sitting on a tree, when a bird is sitting on the tree, it is sitting on a branch. And if the bird really needs to, take a flight, no matter how strong their wings are, it still needs that strength of that tree branch. Some of the huge birds, they actually break the branch when they actually go, but still that strength is necessary. In the same way, if they need to move on, they need the strength of that person. This is a thought that came out, and then I actually went in and said, okay, there's only one person who can actually bring in any strength, which is Tess of the D'Urbervilles. Tess is the only person whom they can find strength. How? That's what I wrote. So if you are interested in reading about it, you need to find Tess of the D'Urbervilles poems in my poetry box. I think it is all there in poetry box, all of the old blogs and everything. I don't know whether it is still in lonelypoet.com. I have removed a considerable amount of posts and everything so that I can save space. I believe it is still there in lonelypoet.com. You can check those things and have a good read of it. Some of the poems are still in the crude form. I told people who read this poem or followed me in my blog I'm going to clean everything up, for years. Imagine 2005 to now, so that's 17 years, so I still haven't done that, so the reason is like I said, I had a soft feeling for the model I used. Yeah, and every time I try to clean this up, it kind of only bring back the old flames, and it pretty much consumes my emotions. I don't want to go into that. I mean, anymore, because it's not going to do any good for anyone. Uh, maybe down the road. I mean, maybe once I'm a little more mature than where I am right now. Even though I'm 52 years old, going to be 53 in February, I may need more maturity to actually deal with that. The model was much more mature than I am at that time. I was 17 years before, so I was like in my mid 30s. So. She was more mature, even though much younger, much more mature than I am, in dealing with that situation. She handled it so well, so that she knows she don't want to hurt me, and she don't want to, hurt herself. And she handled it pretty well. They know that's a model. I mean, when you use a model, you have to know what she is, and if I select many models, Eastern European models, nude models, so once I actually picked up a model, and I was trying to communicate with her, but she actually works in sex sites. And I was like, "Ooh," I said, "Ooh, I don't want that." I told her, you don't have to take off your clothes. Her imagination, when I said about modeling, was, it's like nude modeling. I will show you everything. You want to draw me? I said, talk to me. And she was like, what? I said, to talk to me. Talk. That's what I want to do. She's like, talk about what? And I was like, tell me what you are. Tell me, even if it is not 100% true, even if you are lying to me, you don't have to be honest, as a model. See, and I told her, when you imagine if you are going into a catwalk, a fashion modeling thing, what do you wear some dress. It's not you that is important. It's that output that's important. That outside image that's important. It's not the inside of you may be burning, inside of you are probably excited. It doesn't matter, you come, you do all your walk, and then show the clothes, and it is just something. You are a thing, to actually wear that clothes and move on. But there are extensively talented fashion models, which you can actually go and see. I mean, when you see them, you will understand their talent is, when what they wear, when they actually wearing a particular type of clothes, they know what they actually should be projecting, when it comes to their face, their body movements, and when they do that, it looks, the whole thing looks beautiful. Then that brings in the human touch into it. It's not very easy. This is a very tough job. In the same way, I told her, I am not looking into your, by that time that girl was, topless. And I said, I'm not really looking for seeing your nudity. If I need to see nudity, I can just make a couple of calls. There are people who will come and do everything nude in front of me, in flesh and blood. I can get that. That's not a problem. That's not what I'm looking for. And I told her, they will do anything and everything for me, for free, so I don't have to pay her. But now I'm paying you, so that I can communicate with you. And she said, how far the communication should go. I said, first of all, put on her clothes, and say it, and talk to me, talk directly to me. She started speaking, and I told her, and she was very confused about this whole. She said, "This is the first time a person who actually is paying me to put on clothes." I said, "Okay." She initially put on a clothes, a bunch of clothes, and, whatever she was wearing is also much revealing. And I said, "Okay, can you just put on a t-shirt and jeans? So none of these things are showing up." And she's like, that's what I told her, and it took that much time to actually explain things. And when communicating with them, I said, hold on a second, let me answer this call. Good afternoon, Smoker 7. How can I help you? What? Can you say it again? Grab a leaf? Oh no, I don't have that product. Thank you. She has to grab a leaf. I don't know what is that. Well, that happens. Usually, this time nobody comes, or saying it's almost 19 minutes into the show. Um, Now, where I was yeah, communicating with them. So I said, okay, when we were talking, I said, day to day, what you do, day to day, I do this. So I need to guide her through, the process. And when we were talking, and I said, okay, in all your dealings, I asked her, you are interacting with very little amount of people in real. And that kind of was an eye opener for her too. And she told, yeah. I don't deal with a lot of people because I do this job, and it is most of the time it is the night time for her where she works, and daytime half of it she's sleeping, and there's like only hardly some friends she has, and then there's of course this person who actually makes her do this. When you look at their life, it's pretty tough, and I was like, okay. And when you interact, and then an idea that is in my mind, I gave her that idea. So I said, okay, in a scenario like this, how you are going to respond. And that's where the input started coming in, and then the whole demeanor of this person changed. And I know she is extremely angry. Okay, extremely angry. And that is the emotion that came out of her. So that poem, which I wrote, I'm not going to name that poem, because it's not there in lonelypoet.com. That poem was, based on, absolute anger between two people. Because, something happened between two people that makes each one angry on their own, because anger is not to each other, but they are angry, but they are going to actually get together and deal with that was the scenario. In the same way, now going back to where I started, which is like Mahidharan, the same situations, I'm actually I looked for somebody whom I can use as a model for this, but even I cannot give them the inputs necessary to get the emotional side of things, because first of all, this person lived 500 years ago. Creating a situation like that, it's a hard job. And I know, there are people who have done that, and there are people who have done dramas and TV shows and movies and other things. I watched many of these things, and after watching all this, and after reading many of the materials which is available, I know there are significant gaps, and this is where I need to see, okay, what are the things I'm going to fill in. I'm working on that. I'm still working on it, and there are, I work with a couple of I cannot call models. Couple of my, how do I say, online friends. I told them about this, who can understand me, but even they got confused. They said, like, are you really sure you want to do this? So, because, there is this gap. And they're like, you are going to basically lie to the world that this happened. And Lina, one of my friend, she actually told me something very, very interesting. She said, look, down the road, now you looked at many of the fictions, and many of the real documents available. You looked at it and found the contradictions. You are right now putting in another contradiction to all that when you add these things from your mind. So maybe you have to give them a disclaimer that this part is an addition and this part is an addition. You quote that and give a footnote that's saying, okay, this is my assumption based on this logic. Otherwise, maybe say 100 years passed and somebody takes this and looks at it, they are going to assume this is some sort of historical document or some sort of historical even fiction. So do you want to go into that? Do you want to put that thing out there for people who gets misguided? So that is another thought that comes. So they understand when I work with them with a specific model, this is the way I go, and in all honesty, I don't really get romantically or sexually involved with these models, which is a no-no, because that will distract me beyond hope of recovery. One romantic incident happened, that is good enough. But that is a lesson. I mean, everybody needs to learn a lesson from anything that happens to you. That is the point of this, today. You know, there are lessons on every day. Every day, is a new day. Today morning when I woke up, my entire house is lighted up because someone else came to my house and I in my condo, and I was completely unaware of it. That person came in, was looking for something and found it and left, but forgot to turn off all the lights from my kitchen, my bathrooms, my this thing, not in my bedroom. In the other, there's another bedroom, my pantry. All the lights are on, and I was totally unaware what is going on outside. Yeah, that is the point. And I got dressed up and everything, and I came out. I My garage door opened, and I was like, shit, it's raining, and it's dark and rainy. In between, I called her, and then I was talking to her, and I was like, "What were you looking for?" And she's like, if you hear that, you will laugh." She was like, "I was looking for my tampons," and I was like, "You're looking for tampons on a single man's house?" She's like, "You understand, because the day before Thanksgiving, we went and bought a bunch of things together, and her stuff was along with my package, so I came home and I didn't even check, so searching something in my house, or my condo is not a very easy task, because many of the stuff, even when I come in, I actually dump it into a storage right in front of my garage. There is a storage room, so I immediately open it and put it in there. Then whenever I need something, I just go and look for it. That's what I did, and she understood that that this is not in my condo. So that's why she turned on all the lights and started looking for things, because everything is already scattered on the floor. And eventually she understood, okay, yeah, this should be in the garage, and she found it and left. And she's like, I found it, it was there, and I got it. Today I have water. See, I have to drink water. If I don't drink water, what will happen is you are going to hear very bad sound from coming from my stomach. Brr, it makes noise. My stomach, when it doesn't get this kind of really weird food which I used to eat, it makes noise. So I was like, okay, the fat making machine, is empty. So I put water on it. Calm down, man, calm down. Sakin olum. That means calm down. Learned it from all the Turkish shows I'm watching. I'm actually at 1 hour 49 minutes of a 2 hour 29-minute episode. So 2 hours 29 minutes and 23 seconds. I am at 1:49:58. So I need to finish watching that, before I head out to watch the Packers game. So today there is nothing significant happening other than that. I mean, morning there were customers. I think most of the games, interesting games, were in the afternoon, and I was not even watching American football. I was actually watching soccer, or internationally it is called football. I was watching that, because the World Cup is going on. And in between, some of the customers came, and I know in the afternoon, after about maybe after about 4:30, in another hour things can pick up a bit, and then, but as it is raining, I don't know what is going to happen. So if I'm not really finding a lot of things, by about 6 o'clock I will start from here, go to Fond du Lac. That's the plan. But I have a second, third, and fifth thought about this, because I need to check the weather once more, in an hour. About 4:30 I will check the weather to see if it is going to rain badly when I'm driving back, because the game, starts at 7:15. About 3 hours, that will be like 10:30. The game is over, and I'm going to be in a hospital. It is my friend is in a hospital, so I was trying to give him company when I'm going there. So just go there, eat some popcorn, and watch the game because he I don't drink. He cannot drink because he's in the hospital. So that's a plan. Let's see how it all rolls around. Tomorrow, probably around this time, between 3 and 3:30, I will be here, and I will talk about more about how things are evolving when it comes to these new poems. If there is something that is finished, even a short one, which is an extended writing from all the things I'm working on, that happens too. If that happens, if those poems are ready, I will recite it here, or I will recite an old poem. I owe you a poem, which is I thought I will talk to the lady, whose real life event, which I used as a poem. I thought I may have to talk to her before I even recite it, on YouTube, because it was written as a comment to one of her Facebook posts, and then I actually posted in lollipop.com. And that's what I want to do, to see, if she is there any way I can do that. I mean, maybe show her a book, things like that. But as somebody else's material or somebody else's life event is going to be shown in a video like this, I may have to. I'm not going to show her picture or anything, uh, but still, she's a good friend, and she respects me a lot. I'm much older than her. Even though she's only in her late 30s. I'm in my mid 50s now. So she and her kids have great respect for me. So I don't want to do anything to upset them. So just wanted to make sure that that happened. Only then I will actually read that. There is not a lot going on, so we are at 31 minutes, I think. I believe so, 32 minutes. So I'm going to cut it off and go back, go.